Yeah, I'm in a rut.
Crossing that finish line on my first ever marathon, second place, 2:52, underneath the Boston Marathon. Never thought I would feel this way about sports. This is my road to Boston 2025.
Like this? Cool. Gonna put my phone on silence. There you go.
It was 10K left. I felt okay, but at 8, I was like, how am I
So
going
coming
to get
home
to the
from
finish
the
line?
marathon in
There he
October,
is.
November, I
Okay.
was
But
super
second
excited.
place.
Obviously, I was proud. I was just so motivated. I felt like this was gonna be the new lifestyle going forward. Keep running, keep competing. I was at best shape of my life, just having done a 2:52 marathon, my first ever marathon, and knowing that I most likely was qualified for the Boston Marathon, it kind of, triggered something, and it brought so much pleasure and actually, and I know it's a cliche, but like meaning into my life. After the first week or two, obviously after marathon, you will have some pain here and there, and I did feel something on the outside of my knee, which is not something I was super worried about, but obviously it sucked that I went out for a run a week or two after my marathon and I had to stop because I felt like there was a knife going into my knee, and I was like, oh, something is wrong. And then I went to get it checked out, and it's just like, okay, most likely runner's knee, tight IT band. And, it's one of those things that I was like, there's no way I'm gonna be injured for a long time. I'm just gonna rest, and it's probably gonna get better. And so I started running a little bit more. Eventually, it was like, trying it out, doing 5 kilometers here, 7 kilometers here, and then, for a lot of the runs, Christine had to kind of come pick me up, and I was like, ugh, something's not good. January, February, I started going to a new physiotherapist, and she gave me some exercises, told me that I just needed to be patient, and started doing more of these exercises. And I did feel like I got stronger, because the thing is that I needed to strengthen my hips, and I did feel like I got stronger, but I also didn't really see progress in terms of the running. I was supposed to do like 10 minutes one day and then have 1 day rest, or like not rest, but no running, and then back to the 10 minutes if it was good, 2 days with 10 minutes, and I could up it to 15. And then while I was doing this, I was also spending a lot of time on the bike. So like 2 to 3 hours on the bike, not every day, but quite frequently. But it didn't really seem to get better. And so when we were planning this trip, go for a long trip to Vietnam, Australia, New Zealand, and the US, we were like, or I was like, I'm gonna bring a lot of my shoes because I'm gonna run. And I went for a run the day before, I think, before we left. And I just had to repack. I was like, I'm not bringing my running shoes. There's no way I can do this. It's not not smart. It's gonna be stupid. I'm just gonna skip it. And so I didn't bring them. I brought a pair of on shoes that I was kind of wearing as more like the shoes that I was wearing daily. But then I also knew that I might be able to go for some runs with those if I feel good. But as soon as we got to Vietnam, I was like, okay, I need to keep this up. And I've been riding my bike quite a lot. My heart capacity is probably pretty okay. And then I started doing barefoot running on a treadmill. And all of a sudden I was able to do like 45 minutes. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then I brought that with me to the beach. I was able to do like same distance or 45 minutes or whatever it was on the beach even. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. And doing that on the treadmill and on the beach for a little while. When we got to Sydney, I tried to do a longer run with my shoes on. And then I did 12 kilometers, which is like, oh, this is probably the longest run I've had since my marathon. And that was good. It was great. I felt really good about it. I was like, oh, maybe now I'm back. And then I was not back. I did another 10K in New Zealand, like just a few days later, and then I could feel it while I was sleeping the night after, while I was walking. And it's like, this like runner's knee is never gonna leave me. I'm just lost. And then a couple of days later in Queenstown, New Zealand, I went into this running store and I got these new shoes. I was like, okay, let's try barefoot shoes. I have not really tried barefoot shoes. I've only done like barefoot running. I guess what surprised me the most was that from one day to the other, I was able to start running and I didn't feel pain. And so since that day, which is now, today it's July 2nd, and I bought those in like mid-April. And ever since, I've been able to run without pain.
Just finished my first real hard run, almost since the marathon, I guess, and felt pretty good. I had 4:01, 7 kilometers, and I've barely been running lately, so good sign. I mean, need to put a lot of work in. I think that my knee is okay, not great, but yeah, I have to keep working on that. Just do my exercises, I guess, because I've been pretty bad at that lately.
And I've been able to slowly start introducing runs with my Vaporfly, and I've been able to do some hard runs. Yesterday I was able to pre-verify my time for the Boston Marathon.
That's great.
Not like that big of a deal, but it just still felt good putting in the time.
Yeah. Well, fingers crossed. When do you find out?
September. I guess this whole thing that we're talking about right now, it's all about the Boston, right?
Nervous?
Well, not nervous. It's more like, you know, I don't really like that I haven't been able to run, like barely been able to run since the marathon. I've obviously been able to do some and a bit more lately, which is good, but it's still. When we came home after the marathon, I was like, I want to do 225, and I knew that was unrealistic for the Boston, but like 235. I'm not saying that it's unrealistic now, but it's more that it feels, I don't know. You know, like I've lost more than half a year of training, but it's still much more. It's much longer until the Boston than it was between this time and the marathon last year. So there's obviously still a lot of time.
It's too bad you can't practice any of it, really.
Yeah. The thing is that I think it's impossible to prepare yourself for the Boston Marathon because you have no idea what you'll get, like weather-wise.
God, no.
So it's like it could be super cold and rain. So you're freezing everything off.
Well, snow, that is a bit late, but...
No, you could potentially also get snow. And then like this year where it was pretty hot and no one really, they were not used to it. So I'm almost like thinking that maybe next spring I should take a week or two in Spain just to get used to the heat. But I also love to run in the heat, so. But I've never been injured like this, so it feels a bit like, I don't know. It's obviously frustrating.
Is it discouraging?
Well, it was for a while. I was like doing other things and trying to find pleasure in that. Had a bit of a breakdown in March, thinking that I wanted to go back to skating instead.
Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah, you were not very happy about that.
Only because the running was so good.
Yeah. No, it'll be good. It's been frustrating, but I think it's gonna get better going forward. And it's been really good to see that I found a tool to help me run again. Like, you know, being able to actually put the work in that I know that is needed for the Boston Marathon next year. But then we get to this rut, you know, that I feel like I'm in right now. I think that almost as like, you know, kind of protecting myself, I've been letting the ambitions and the goals go and just I've allowed myself to like get caught up in other things like filmmaking and just things that have nothing to do with running. And although that has been great, it's just probably made me feel less frustrated and sad about not being able to run. It's also kept me from that routine that I've had. And so I've been making a YouTube channel focusing on running and sports and kind of preaching like, oh, this is how I combine work with training. And it's so easy to find those excuses that I don't have time to work out because I need to work, or, you know, all those things that we're telling us, and which is like obviously totally legit because that's what I did last year. But then I caught myself several times lately being like, well, you're not doing those things now, Christian. That's not what you're doing now. You're doing the opposite. You get up in the morning and you make yourself that coffee and you're like, okay, I'm gonna go for a run today, or I'm gonna go to the gym today. And then you don't. Like, you end up sitting on your computer working on stuff, and then you make a video about it instead of actually doing it. That is, I guess that's the only update I have right now. It's been shit. Sorry. It's been really bad, and it's been frustrating, and it's been just, like hard, especially having this channel that I'm trying to keep up with, and especially when I'm not even able to run myself, then it's been tough. At some point I was like, this has got to stop. I can't do this anymore. And so that's why now I made myself a training program, like daily program, from July 1st, which is yesterday, and all the way up until the end of the month. And then I'm gonna make a new program at the end of the month. Like, one of my best qualities as an athlete is that as long as I have a training plan, I will do whatever it says. Obviously I'll rest if I have to, but just then I won't get too lazy. I think that's the update for now, and I guess we'll try to keep these more frequent, like make it more frequently, just so you can follow the journey towards Boston 25. But I'm ready to start the work towards what will probably be the biggest event that I will ever, like sporting event that I will ever attend to, and I just can't wait.